Good morning. Look what I found. Oh my gosh. How are you and Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor doing today? I hope great. I've started reading your book and I wanted to do a review of what I've read so far. Well, I don't know if I can call it a review, just to discuss what I've read so far, if you don't mind. By the way, if you can hear something frying in the background, I'm making pancakes for breakfast. So I'm multitasking as usual. Sorry. So yeah, I love the book so far. Love. From a lot of different perspectives. I love it from, the material, just a story of your life. But I also love it from the perspective of just a writer. I mean, you and your ghostwriter have done just an absolutely marvelous job with this book. It's such a page turner. I'm only up to page 75, but that's because I have so many other competing things that I'm doing at the moment, and some of which I've discussed on this channel. Like very involved things that require a lot of time. So 75 pages on the circumstances is a lot. And I think I'm up to chapter 36 or something like that. And but from the perspective of a writer, I really love it. I love just the style of writing. It's really riveting. And just hearing his story, just picturing the life of this young boy in school. It's just like, oh, how beautiful, and how much you love your mom. It just comes through in such an authentic way, in such a human way. Just you've humanized her in a way that is important, I think, for people to see her through your eyes. But it just, I don't know, it just makes her seem so real, like a real human being. Um, but also your dad and how you have humanized him so far in this book up to page 75 is something that, wow, I didn't expect that. And I see him differently. I know I've been very harsh with him, and I'm going to continue to be harsh with him if I believe he deserves it. But it sort of puts in context, this father son situation that to some extent really is none of our business. You are a public figure. He's a public, I've got to go turn the pancakes. But, you know, you love your father so much, and he loves you so much, Harry. Your dad loves you so much. It's just that all of this other gook has gotten in the way, and it's so sad. Let me go turn my pancakes. I'll be right back. And the other thing is, I'm eating pancakes as I talk. They're more in the frying pan. They're more coming. I'm going to end up eating about 6 to 9 pancakes, which is horrific. But what do you want me to do? Anyway, um, Harry, your brother loves you very much. Your brother William loves you. Now, lately he has a funny way of showing it. I agree. In part, it's not his fault in the sense that all of us on the face of God's earth right now, we have been programmed to think of each other in a certain way. And if enough of us want to change that, we're going to have to do some things to start the healing process in a real way. Which is why, the lawsuit I started against your country, your government, and the institution of the monarchy is something that, I've always known that somehow you and Meghan play a part in, but it's more than I realized, I think. And it's something that we have to do as a world, as a human race. We have to go back in and we've got to tweak some things and we've got to remedy some things to have a real healing, and we have to be re-educated about some things, and all of us from top to bottom. And that's really what it is with your brother William, is that you're right, he has some unconscious biases, but it was put into him. You see, it was ingrained in him. And that's why he was not able to accept Megan, because of how he has been brought up to think. How was he? How did that happen? Well, his parents and your grandparents. And how did that happen? Their parents and their grandparents. And it goes way, way back, right? The thing is that at this point, it's not okay to say, oh, I have these unconscious biases. Now we're at a point where we have to do something about it. We're going to have to change it, Harry. In our generation, we have to start the process of real healing and real change, to change how we think about each other, so that you loving this woman, some other Harry in the future, will never have to go through what you have gone through, and it won't cause the kind of horrible pain and rupture in a family that this has caused, because your family loves you. Your dad loves you so much. Just the way you describe him, I can tell, and so does your brother. But they've both hurt you so much by not accepting your wife, and they don't know that they have a problem. They don't know that they have a problem because of how we have all been ingrained to think. Harry, I'm going to need you and Megan with this, and others in the world, to understand why I have to do what I have to do, and why your dad and the government and the people in power have to listen to me. You see? Anyway, Paris, I mean, my God, how much that factors into the first part of your book. And I was so freaking oblivious. I'm oblivious. I mean, I could feel your mother, believe it or not, all the time over my shoulders as I'm talking, as I'm making these videos. I mean, even that day I went into the cemetery, I mean, I just feel her, Sometimes I'm talking and saying things, I'm like, who is this person talking? Like, I feel like I sound like your mother. Like, what the fuck is this? I say to myself, what are you talking about, Marian? And then I read your book and I'm like, oh my God, Paris factors so much into this for this kid. Like, there's some kind of like force. And it's like, then you talked about the Magna Carta, Harry. Harry, I have tears in my eyes right now as I'm talking. I mean, you talk about the Magna Carta in the first few pages. My other set of pancakes are going to start burning in 2 seconds. I mean, this is central to my case, Harry. Harry. Oh my God. That's all I can say is, oh my God. In one part, you said that you felt this sort of, like you've been pigeonholed as being the naughty one. And I know exactly how that feels, being sort of stereotyped and expected to be this self-fulfilling prophecy for everybody else. I know how that feels. And, I was a second child like you, so it's no fun. I know. But in a way, in a twisted way, it's their way. It's a form of affection, It's a form of affection, Harry. They don't mean it to make you feel bad. I mean, some of it, the working alongside with the press to, paint you as an addict and things like that. I mean, my goodness, who does something like that? But yeah, I really am enjoying like your stories about Balmoral and Sandringham and Africa. Oh my gosh. And then I just thought, how funny is that? I mean, I know you love Africa, but just reading the first 75 pages, I'm really convinced that you and Megan should do some kind of docu-series or documentary where you're in Africa. It doesn't have to be on your personal kisses and whatever, but you could still show a little bit of yourselves as you know, sort of with your docu-series. I mean, it's about you, but it's not too in your intimate life. You're in Africa. You're showing us this world you talk about with the campfire, and maybe not the leopard. You have to be very careful, especially with your children in Africa, in terms of these, you know, animals like leopards and whatever else, hippos and stuff. You have to be very, very careful, Harry. Harry, be very, very careful, right? And see, now here I go being a mother again. You have to be very, very careful. This is the message. And, it's funny because you talk about messages and, that time with the fox where you saw the fox outside the window. I'm totally of the same school of thought, Harry. I believe that animals and things like that bring messages to us. And like just the other day, I was walking in a park here in Paris, in Belleville, and I was talking about your father and the coronation, and a black cat crossed my path. And it just crossed my path. It looked at me and then it crossed back. I felt it was a message, but I ignored it. I didn't want to think it's a message, but I thought it was a message. And I thought of your mom. And but I don't like to say these things because people think you're completely crazy. But then when I read your book and you see these little animals like the fox and you see messages, Harry, Harry, this is weird. It is definitely weird. But sometimes I really feel like I can not I can't channel. I'm not at anything like that, but you're right. I mean, your mom is there. You're not wrong. If you feel her, she's there. I believe that. And sometimes I feel her and I don't even know her, right? I feel her like she tries to talk through me, Harry. It's very weird. So don't dismiss that. If you feel like your mom is right there over your shoulder and she's talking to you, accept that as true. It's as real as you are, as you're alive. It's not what we think. I'm convinced that life and death are not at all what we have been programmed to think that it is. Anyway, moving right along. So what else did you say that was really riveting? I mean, the whole thing so far up to page 75 is riveting on a level that it just takes my breath away. I can't believe it. I feel like it's just destined to be, it's going to be a movie. Your book is going to be a movie. And even in terms of the things I'm trying to do now, in terms of the lawsuit and things like that, um, which, I mean, it's very important for people to understand that it's not about, I mean, it's for $3 billion, but it's not the money that's important. It's the proprietary issues that underlie that, the reestablishment of humanity to people that was taken away from them with the assent of the agents and representatives of the British monarchy and government. And in doing so, we begin a healing process that perhaps the results will not be seen in our generation, but in the future, we won't have little Harrys and Megans who can't be together because people fundamentally feel that someone like Megan, that her humanity is so much less and so contaminated and corrupted that someone like Harry can't love her and want to be her husband. It's a deep, deep, deep healing process that I am after. And I think you and Megan are a part of that. I mean, I was always going to do what I was going to do because I do believe I was destined to do this. But um, Megan's situation and yours really just convinced me that my God, I have to do it, I have to do it. Anyway, my darling, that's it for this first review of the first 75 pages. And I'll keep you up to date of what I think as I go along. Have a nice day wherever you guys are. Take care. Be patient. Keep love in your hearts. It's going to work out. It is going to work out.